Hey guys, welcome to another preview season video for Magic the Gathering's upcoming set Dominaria. Today is April 9th. We've got a handful of cards to get to, so let's just hop right into it. We will be starting off with green. We've got a new legendary elemental avatar creature. It's Maltini, Yawgmoth's avatar. It costs 2 green and 4 generic. For a 0/0 with reach and trample, and it gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. So it's counting everything in your play as well as in your graveyard. It's getting +1/+1, so that's constantly going up and down depending on what's going on the battlefield. Obviously, if cards are getting exiled from play or from your graveyard, then that's going to impact it negatively. But this is a great commander card. Obviously in limited it's going to be a bomb. The nice thing about its second ability is you can pay 2 1 green 1 generic to return 2 lands you control from their owner's hand, and then you return the Maltini from your graveyard to your hand. So it does have its own recursion built in, which is fantastic. It's extremely cheap as far as to activate that ability. So what more could you ask, right? As far as the casting cost is concerned, 6 mana for what could be, as big as a 5/5 or even bigger, depending on what type of mana rocks you're using and things like that, or ways to cheat this guy into play. You still got the added bonus of the reach and trample effect. So he's going to be able, if you get him out early, he's still going to be able to defend against like flyers and things like that. So it's going to be a solid card. It's a mythic rare, so not much is in the form of limited and sealed and things like that is concerned. It will pull you into green if you do happen to open it, just because of the recursion, and we've talked about recursion before. But anytime you can get more than one play out of a card in a game, it's always a good thing. Next up, we got Llanowar Scout. This is a 1/3 Elf Scout for 2 mana, 1 green and 1 generic. You can tap him to put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. It's that common, so you're going to see quite a few of these. In green, this is going to be a great way to kind of accelerate your deck on the early game. A 1/3 for 2 still isn't bad. It might not trade for much in the 2-drop slot, but it definitely will defend against the 2-drop slot, and just being able to drop cards out of your hand, as early as turn 3, is just, and green does, and one of the best things that green can do is drawing additional lands, right? Putting lands into your hand, and this guy, makes, it makes a good 2-card combo where you can take cards from your hand and put them into the battlefield. So this will work really well. Next up, we've got a reprint, Gaia's Blessing. So it's 1 green to 1 generic. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library, then draws a card. And when Gaia's Blessing is put into your graveyard from your library, you shuffle your graveyard into your library. So it's this is a reprint card from a long time ago. Much needed searching ability as far as getting a card and then also bringing up 3 cards from your graveyard. That's that's a great way to kind of recycle your deck if you're running long and you kind of burn through your finishers already. But it's an added card for green. It draws you a card, which green doesn't get to do very much, especially when it's not connected to a creature. So this does break that cycle a little bit. So that's Gaia's Blessing. Moving on, we've got a couple of white cards here. We've got Evra, the Halcyon Witness. It's 4 generic white for the legendary avatar at rare. It's a 4/4 with lifelink, and then you can pay for to exchange your life total with Evra's power. So if if somehow you are still at 20 life on turn 6 and you play this, turn 7 you can pay 4 and your life total becomes 4, and the power of the witness will become 20, so it'll be a 24. Not to be confused with a 20/20. It's only power. And it does shrink your health total down to 4, so just be cautious of that. We've seen a couple different ways to augment creatures in this set, increasing its power. That will have the positive impact on, it wouldn't be such a hit to your life total. So that might be an option. Giving this thing flying would definitely be a huge help. I know if you're running a blue-white deck, that's definitely possible. There's a couple enchantments, a couple creatures, and then there's also artifacts and things like that that have a similar effect. Next up, we've got Banalish Marshal. It's 3 white for 3/3. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. This is a human knight at the rare slot, so it's just it's in that cycle of 3 mana costing creatures. I'm really enjoying this one. I'm still in favor of the black one quite a bit. The green one is extremely overpowered, and I love it. This one's probably the least favorite of all of them that I have here. Tempest de Jin is the blue version. It's 3 blue for an 0/4 flying, so it has evasion, but it also gets +1/+1 for each basic island you control. So it's kind of along the same lines as the black, the black 3 mana creature. Only this you don't have to tap any mana for, and it's just constant, so you don't have to tap out to increase it. So there's no threat of activation, so you lose that, but you gain the flying. So this one I think on paper is better, but nostalgic wise, I always go back to that shade. The black one is amazing. So yeah, so that's the blue. That's blue cards that we have. And moving into black and red, we've got Torgar, the Famine Incarnate. This is 6 generic and 2 blue, or excuse me, 2 black for the legendary avatar at rare. It's a 7/6, and that wall of text though. I believe this is the strongest one by far, but as an additional cost to cast the spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. Cost reduction is a very powerful thing. So, turn 3, turn 4, if you have a couple creatures on the battlefield, you can sack them and get this thing out early. That would be fantastic. That's just when you can pay 4 mana for this or 5 mana for this, that would be super strong. But anyway, the second ability here is when it enters the battlefield, up to one target player's life total becomes half of their starting life total, rounded down. So at the very minimum, let's see here, enters the battlefield up to one target player's life total. So if you're losing, you can get yourself back up to 10. If they're winning, you can knock them down to 10. Somebody's life total is becoming 10, essentially. So that might work in your opponent's favor. Unfortunately, that it is a possibility. So if you're at 20 and they're at 2, you're either giving them 8 health or you're taking 10 damage. So it's kind of one of those trade-off things, right? Obviously, you wouldn't give them the 8 health because this thing can attack for 7 and you can win the game next round. So that's that. Final parting is 3 generic and 2 black sorcery at uncommon. Search your library for up to 2 cards. Put one of them in your hand and the other in your graveyard. Then you shuffle your library. This is a pretty strong card. I'm kind of sad that it costs 4 or 5. I think at 4 it would have been fairly strong. It's nice that your opponent doesn't get to choose. This is strictly your choice. You pick the 2 cards, you pick where they go. So it's one of those things that it's not searching your graveyard, you're searching your library. So it's literally tutoring up your best card that you need right then and there. It's just the downfall is that it costs 5. So if it's turn 5, you only got 5 mana. That's not really doing you a lot. On the other hand, though, you're actually, you're getting the ability to find what you need. If it's a win condition, if it's an answer to whatever's on the battlefield, keep in mind it's 2 cards. It's not creature cards. It's not creatures. It's 2 cards. So you could find anything. If you need land, if you need, you know, a spell, instant sorcery, destroy creature, whatever, or if you need your win condition, like let's say you have the board cleared and you just keep drawing lands, this is a great way to find that finisher. So it does have a lot of usability. If you open up a couple and sealed, I would probably play at least one, if not two, depending on how many bombs and game-ending cards you have. Skirt Prospector's next. It's 1 red for a 1/1, and it's got a great ability of sacrifice a goblin, add red. That's it. Not sacrifice. You can sacrifice him, but you can sacrifice any goblin and gain a red mana to your mana pool. Let's go ahead and add that in there because just adding red just kind of sounds silly. Adding 1 red to your mana pool. You know, it is what it is. This thing I think this thing might see some play in Modern. Cost reduction is always a positive thing. Modern seems to be one that takes advantage of it the most. So, you know, this would be a good way, you know, if you play this and then like what was the goblin spell that brought 3? I think there's one that brings 3 goblins into play for 3 and then 2 goblins for 2 maybe. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but that's a great way to on turn 3, you know, ramping up, you know, an extra 2 mana into 5. That would be, you know, that would be pretty strong. So this thing can probably do some broken stuff, especially, you know, with sacrifice outlets and, you know, recursion and things like that. So we'll see. So that's all of our cards for today. I really do appreciate you guys watching. We'll be back tomorrow, April 10th, with any new spoilers that or preview cards that come out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave a comment in the comments below. Let us know what cards you're excited about. Which of the 3 mana? I'm kind of curious to see which of the 3 mana costed creatures are you interested in? The 3 white, 3 blue, 3 green, 3 red, or the 3 black? I'm kind of curious to see it. I'm partial to the black one only because that was nostalgia for me. I think the blue one is probably the most powerful with the flying ability, and it's a close second with the green, but I'm kind of curious what you guys think. Leave it in the comments section below. I really do appreciate it. We'll be back next Monday for Mana Drain episode. We might be on tomorrow evening. We got invited finally into the closed beta for a Magic Arena, so we might be playing some Arena tomorrow night in lieu of the Magic Mana Drained episode we missed tonight. So hope you guys have a great evening. Watch the stream on twitch.tv/72DPI online. We'll be going live there with some Magic Arena tomorrow. Have a great night, and we will see you in the next video.